guys, welcome to Glam Nail Academy. So today I'm going to be showing y'all a basic acrylic application using Valentino Beauty's cover collection in number 6. I'm also going to be using a glitter by Glam and Glitz. I slowed it down so y'all could see it, but y'all know I'm new to this, so y'all gotta bear with me. It's coming. So the first thing you're gonna see me do is dehydrate my nail. It's coming. Y'all gonna see me dehydrate my nail with OPI's Bond Aid. It's nail dehydrator, which is basically just alcohol right here to take all the oils off the nail bed. Right now I'm using Young Nails Protein Bond. This helps the acrylic adhere to the nail bed and stops lifting. I do 2 coats on each nail, and I apply the protein bond right before I'm about to do my acrylic application. So when you're about to start your application, you want to try and get your powder and your monomer in a good position where you could be comfortable while you're doing nails. So that's what I'm doing right here, trying to get myself comfortable. You want to see me dab my brush into the monomer, and then I'm going to wipe the back side and wipe the front. Tap 3 times. I start doing nails by placing my first bead at the edge of the nail tip, patting it in, and then you're going to see me blend it up from the top. Doing this gives my bead a smooth surface. This is just my first bead to start out the nail. I always wipe the sides so I can keep my shape. You want to work smarter, not harder. Wiping the sides as you do your nails stops you from having to do so much filing at the end. My next bead that I'm going to place is going to be right above that one. Wipe the back, tap the front, tap in the powder. You don't want to drag in the powder. Press your acrylic into place and then slide it down. Wipe it down where you need it to be. But you want to make sure to always press it into place. You don't want to constantly swipe your brush downwards because you're just going to be dragging your product throughout the length of the nail. Always remember to keep wiping those sides. That will really help y'all in the end. I know a lot of people talk about 3 bead method, 2 bead method. Typically, I do use 3 beads, but when you're beginning and you're starting, I use however many beads you need to get that nail right. As you can see, that is my 3rd bead right there, and I'm going to have one more bead to focus on the cuticle. Always remember to clean up the sides. If you get any acrylic on the skin or in the grooves around the nail, make sure you wipe it off. Any acrylic on the skin while doing nails will cause the nails to lift. So this is going to be my cuticle bead. I dried it on the back of the paper towel to get excess monomer off. Place it where you need it, not directly on the cuticle, but in front, and you just press it in. That's what I'm doing right now, tapping it in, blending it downwards. You're going to see me turn the nail to the side to make sure that it has an apex. You don't want any thin nails because then they're going to break. I'm going to place one more bead at the free edge just because I don't like my nails too thin, but that's personal preference. Y'all got to work with me now because I'm trying my best to explain, but I'm going to get better. Okay, so on to the next one. This one is going to be a glitter. Glitters are kind of harder to work with than regular powder, so my method is going to be a little bit different but kind of the same. Place it toward the free edge of the nail. patting it in, and then you're going to see me swipe up. I always swipe upward with my bead so it doesn't look too bulky and it flows smoothly with my next bead that I will place on top of that. Remember to keep wiping those sides to keep the shape. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so you see me focus on them sides a little more than I probably should. Place that one there, kind of push it in where I need it to be, and swipe down. Glitters tend to be a little more runnier than a regular powder, so that's why you see me constantly tapping it to make sure that it stays where I want it to stay. So my very next bead is going to be my cuticle bead. I always tap the back of my brush on my napkin again to get off excess monomer so I don't flood the cuticles. I'm going to place my bead in front of the cuticle, not directly on it, and I'm going to push it where it needs to be. My next bead is going to be the cuticle. So let's see. Now you see I put it there and I'm kind of pushing it and pressing. You don't want your bead super wet. If your acrylic floods the cuticle, your nails will lift. And one thing I ensure in my nail business is that quality and longevity lives here. So I don't do any lifting. I'm wiping around to get any excess product from off of her skin. Now, glitter acrylics are very thin, so in the end, I'm going to go back and encapsulate this nail with clear. So when I start to file off, I don't file off all her glitter. You're going to place that one at the free edge, tap it into place, and then brush it up. So I did this video on one of my clients. Um, I was still, learning the whole YouTube thing. I'm still learning, but I could guarantee y'all my next video is going to be better, and I'm going to do it on my practice hand. But I do like, since I did this on a client, y'all got to see raw, uncut footage of me doing nails. I'm going to get into bead ratio in my next video as well, because you don't want your bead to be too wet. You're going to flood the nail. If it's too dry, it'll just fall off and won't move. You want the perfect consistency. I'm going to place that one above the bead I first placed, press it in, and then swipe down. Anything you do with your brush, you have to be very light. You want light-handed strokes. If you're too heavy with your brush, you're just going to be dragging the acrylic from where you placed it on down to the end and eventually off the nail. Keep wiping your sides and patting the acrylic into the sides so you can keep your shape. Going to place a bead above that one and press it in. So that's how I was telling y'all. The amount of beads you use is personal preference. I see a lot of nail techs do one bead method. That doesn't work for me. I typically do between 3 and 5 beads on a nail depending on the length. My last bead on this nail will be my cuticle bead, and I want y'all to pay attention because I dried out my brush too much. You'll see. Press it in. My brush was too dry, so when I go to swipe down, it was already setting. So it wasn't doing what I needed it to do. And it also looked too bulky. My bead was too big for that cuticle area. So you can see me constantly wiping to get it back in place. If something like this happens, all you have to do is clean it up with the drill in the end. You can see how it's a little thick towards the cuticle. Remember that we all do nails in our own style. That's not my style, but if that's what works for you, go with it. Placing my last bead on the free edge. When you turn it to the side, you can really see what the nail is looking like. You can see if you have an apex, any missing gaps. So anytime I go back and add a bead at the very end of the nail, it's because when I turned it to the side, I felt like the nail was too thin. So now that the acrylic application is completely finished, we're going to start filing. File your sides, but again, there shouldn't be a lot of filing that needs to be done because we kept wiping our sides during the application, so there really is no bulk. This is what I mean when I say work smarter, not harder. When you consistently wipe the sides of the nail when you're doing the acrylic application, these nails, in my opinion, they look good. You can tell that they're square shaped, they're not bulky, they're not overrunning on the sides, so all I have to do is file the sides to clean them up. What I do is hold my file as straight as possible and file in the upward motion. I take my ring finger and kind of hold her skin downwards because I use an 80 grit file. The lower the grit, the rougher it is. A 80 grit is a very sharp file, so I recommend if you're a beginner to use a 100 to 120 grit file when you're shaping your nail. But an 80 grit file should only be used on acrylic. Should not be used on the natural nails. I'm just filing the sides up and down, keeping my file as straight as possible. I catch underneath the nail to smooth it out. You see me tapping the nail because if you tap acrylic and it clicks back and makes a little clicking noise, that's how you know that the acrylic has set and is dry. If it does not click back, the acrylic is wet. Do not file it. Cleaning up underneath the nail. So here it's time to E-file the nails around the cuticle. The first thing I do is clean up the very sides of the nail and I go around the cuticle. I'll mention this drill in the products I use video. This is my Melody Susie Scamander drill. Whenever you are drilling near the cuticle, you do not want to touch the skin. You will cut your client. You just want to clean up the cuticle area and go across the nail to smooth everything out and give it a flush finish. I file underneath the nail because I like a nice C curve. Again, filing down the base of the nail. I file from left to right. Other techs file up and down. File the way that works best for you. That's just to smooth all the acrylic out on the nail and just to clean it up so you have a perfect flawless finish. The drill bit I'm using is a Pana bit. I'll list the links to everything that I bought in my products video, but it was a Pana bit. It's not a safety bit at all, so that's why you got to be careful around the edges and around the cuticle area so you do not cut your client. Now the speed of your e-file is perfect preference. Oh Lord, not perfect, personal preference. I use my e-file after my application on the speed 8. Whenever I first start the nail and I'm filing, I use it on about 5. But whatever you're doing, your nail your e-file should not go above 10,000 RPMs. That's revolutions per minute, how many times it spins. The higher the e-file is, the harder it is to control it. If it's going too slow, you'll find yourself making indentions into the nail. But once you find your correct speed, it'll flow with your hands. Remember to catch underneath the nail for a perfect C curve and to just clean it up. You don't want your nails too bulky. So that's what I'm doing under there. Starting by filing down the sides of the nails, then around the cuticle. I angle the thumb downwards. I angle the fingers downwards so I can perfectly see the cuticle. That way I won't be cutting skin. Request different videos that y'all like to see from me. Different little things y'all want to learn in the comments. This is a learning process. We're going to learn together. So this was my first video, but after doing it, I realized some things I could do different. So my next video will be much better, but y'all just got to stick with me and remember to like and subscribe. This is me just checking my overall work, making sure I'm satisfied. So now I'm buffing. I sped through this part because buffing is the easiest part of doing nails. You just gonna swipe the buffer across the nails real fast. Swipe it underneath, and this just gives you a smooth surface. Gets rid of all the lines you have on the nails. It smooths it out. Buffs out all imperfections. So right now, I'm going to take my file and clean it up. At this part, you're really done. So I'm going to take my file across the top so it's even and straight. And then you're going to see me take my file and get towards the side. That just gives a crisp square. So across the top file and then the sides. Whenever you see me push their fingers back to kind of see what's going on, that's me checking my work. You have to look at your work from every angle because you don't want your client to get home and you know they once they sit on the toilet and they're looking at their hands, that's when they realize. This is Young Nail Swipe. This is just alcohol to clean all the dust off the nail to prep the nail for gel top coat. So I'm going to wipe the nails with the little lint-free wipe and Young Nail Swipe. Now I'm applying the gel top coat. The top coat I use is by Valentino Beauty Pier. But when you're beginning, y'all do not go out and buy extremely expensive products. stick to the affordable stuff until you have your method down pat. Once you have it down pat, splurge. And this was the finished product. Thank y'all so much for tuning into my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share my video. I have some great content coming soon for you guys. I'm going to upload 1 to 2 videos per week. So thank y'all so much.